Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
sir. A very good evening. Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
I'm
What's
good,
up?
sir. You're in Mumbai,
Yeah.
I guess.
Correct. The scariest city
Okay.
right now.
So just yeah. Okay. So just let me introduce you briefly to our audience because I have many questions for you
Yeah.
tonight. Guys, Sir is an alumnus of Dr. D.Y. Patil University School of Dentistry, Mumbai, batch 2002 to 2007. He has been running his own clinical practice in Mumbai since 2010. His areas of interest is in clinical dentistry is restorative dentistry, aesthetic dentistry, and microendodontics. He has lectured and delivered hands-on workshop in almost all the top colleges and university, guys, be it Maids, Manipal, SDM, JSS, Bharati Vidyapeeth. These are just the few names of the many. Dr. Mayur is the first dentist in India to be interviewed in India's biggest photography magazine called Better Photography. So he's an astute clinician, passionate photographer, tech geek, blogger, podcaster, and an international speaker for dental and medical photography. We are also pleased to have you, sir. A very warm
It's my
welcome.
pleasure. Just
Sir, my first question starts from your journey because you are doing this since when dental photography was not such a thing in India. So, what's your journey? How it all started?
so as soon as I passed from college, I knew that I had the skills to do good photography. Um,
Right.
so I passed out in 2007, and 2009 was a year when I actually wanted to take a break for pursuing post graduation, which ultimately I never ended up doing because I never really worked hard. I never really studied for post graduation.
Okay.
I was kind of just spending time. But during that time, I realized that I'm good at photography, and since then, I got a DSLR after that, and soon I realized that I'm pretty good at it. Um, so my
Right.
journey actually started with dental photography, but it was really boring to do dental photography then. Extremely boring because it was really
Okay.
repetitive, and I did not have good equipment. As in, I did not have a macro lens and all at that time, and there was nobody to guide me as to what has to be purchased and stuff. So I kind of, since dental photography is really monotonous, I kind of jumped into wildlife. And in wildlife, I
Right.
started shooting butterflies first, moving on to birds. I have actually done a course on ornithology, that's study of birds, and did a course on botany. I went quite deep into wildlife photography just to realize that wildlife photography in India is not that ethical. People are doing it more for the heck of likes on Facebook and hearts on Instagram. So
Right.
kind of stopped doing that work because it was mentally bothering. Then I completely shifted over to a completely different genre of photography, that's high speed macro. So I specialize in shooting liquid drops and splashes, which is called as high speed
Yeah.
macro photography. And because of that, I got exhibited at Kalabur Art Festival and the Jahangir Art Gallery, which are some of the most premium or the most prestigious art galleries of India and festivals of India. And also later on got interviewed by Better Photography, which is India's biggest photography magazine. And then slowly Canon recognized my talent, and I also felt the need that dentistry does need someone who would want uh, a mentor to train themselves for
True.
dental photography. So then I kind of really got serious about teaching dental photography to my colleagues first. That's way back in 2013. Around 2013, I started dental photography school. I'm currently in the eighth year of teaching dental photography. Lots of ups and downs. Initially, there was no awareness. People were least interested to learn about dental photography because they're like, "Whoa, is this guy really looking forward to teach dental photography, or he's just trying to fool everybody?" Because at that time, nobody was really documenting nicely, except for the top dentists.
Exactly.
So it was a challenge to create awareness. Basically, I had to start from scratch, and that work started from creating awareness because nobody was really interested. So I had to basically create a whole genre of photography right from the beginning. That was really challenging, but now times have changed and people are more interested to document. Really glad to see that. But nevertheless, awareness keeps on happening. So it's parallel now. Although a lot of people are already pursuing it, I still need to work on creating awareness. There are a lot of questions, a lot of followers now. Close to 20,000 people follow me on my Facebook
Yeah.
and quite a lot on Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as other profiles. But that's not the thing. The thing
Right.
is, people are more inclined and more interested to document because they are seeing cases on social media. I think that's a good trend because more and more
Exactly.
people are seeing cases on social media. So those people are inspiring other people to document cases nicely. So it's really good now. It's a really solid infrastructure, and if people have not yet started documenting, I think they're missing out on something really big because it can help in a lot of ways.
So what is the basic armamentarium or the equipments required for dental photography?
So, about the basic equipment that you need for dental photography, I've answered it a lot of times before. It's already there on my website. Actually, it's for people who want to read. It's dentalphotographyschool.in. Uh, so there's no one answer to this. There are two ways of answering this. If you just want to do dental photography for the heck of it, you can use a phone. So if you really are looking forward for me to tell phone, you got your answer, but you know it that it's not the right way to do it. It's not that you cannot do it. The image is going to be distorted, and there are going to be a lot of other issues, which I've highlighted a lot in my YouTube channel. Maybe you can check out Dental Photography School YouTube channel on YouTube. But if you are asking for an ideal, at least on your way to an ideal equipment, would be getting a DSLR for yourself or any interchangeable lens camera. That could be a very basic one, like Canon 1500D or Canon 800D. Just before buying, confirm once that it accepts all different companies' flashes. So that would be a very
Right.
basic investment. Maybe down the line, after a year or two, you can think about buying a macro lens as well, because that is what you actually need for dental photography. So the macro lens would be 100 macro lens for Canon, and if you're inclined towards Nikon, it'll be an 85 macro or a 105 macro. You can buy whatever fits your budget, and then maybe you can think about buying a ring flash or a twin flash if you want to be really good at it. And if you want to excel and if you want to be really popular first, you have to invest on studio lights as well. So there are different sets of acceptance. One would be people
Okay.
who just want to use a phone. If you're talking about phones, then maybe something like a Google Pixel would be a good one. I
Yeah.
would not suggest iPhones because iPhones make some of the some of the worst cameras. uh, there are a lot of other
Mm.
companies which make better cameras in their phones. There would be maybe Vivo or stuff like that, and
Yeah, right.
Chinese or Huawei. I've heard that Huawei is really good, but iPhone is not
Okay.
really known for its cameras. It's known for other things, like its
Yeah.
interface is really good for. So if you think iPhone is going to help you with that, it's definitely not. Google Pixel and OnePlus and companies like Huawei would rank highest. Then in cameras, Canon and Nikon, there are only two big players, and that's about. And lens, you obviously have to buy. If you bought a Canon camera, I would say you go for Canon lens only. Don't go for any other company's lens. And even flash is the same. If you're using Canon, go for Canon's ring flash. I don't sense Nikon so much because it becomes at the end of your journey, Nikon becomes tends to become a little bit more expensive, because when you buy the lens, it's very expensive, and it does not make its own ring
Okay.
flash, uh, while Canon does make its own ring flash. So a lot of reasons why I don't suggest Nikon, and obviously Canon is more user friendly, so it's going to be much more easy for beginners to learn
Yeah.
on Canon. So this is what I usually recommend people who ask me about this. But invest minimum on the camera, a decent amount on the lens, and a good amount on the flash. That's called so this is called as the reverse concept. It's called as the reverse concept by Dr. Mayur Davda. You can check it out online. He came up with this concept long back and it's been published already.
Sir, so do we need any consent from the patient or are there any
You always
protocols
need
to
a
be
consent, but you
followed?
don't have to ask for it again and again. Uh, so make it a part of your case paper itself, so you don't have to ask. It's there. Uh, they'll be able to read it, and you can take the signature, and it has to be clearly mentioned that the images might be used for educational and marketing purposes. Like I
Yeah.
have it on my case paper. So consent is definitely needed, but none of my patients have tried to resist me from taking a picture, um, except very few. But I tell them that this is the protocol that I follow in my clinic, and if you're not comfortable with that, you're more than welcome to visit some other clinic which does not document. Because when you take pictures and send it across to them, you're creating a lot of transparency in your relationship with the patient.
Yeah.
It's really important to do that so that the patient feels more confident. So, uh, take pictures, take consent, and send it across to your patient so that they know that you're very transparent with them. So, film photography is going to be helping you with a lot of things, especially to build a confident relationship with your patients, and it's obviously going to be improving your clinical skills as well.
Right. So, how do we maintain infection control or sterilization pertaining to dental photography
So,
in this era?
I have a video on this. It's called as how to maintain asepsis uh,
Yeah.
while doing documentation in dentistry, especially for surgical cases. So there's a video on this on my YouTube channel called "How to Maintain Asepsis During Surgical Cases in Dental Photography." Just check it out. It's basically covering the camera with sterile gloves. Uh, so what you basically do is you flip the gloves inside out so that the powder part is outside and not inside, and then just
Okay.
you just wrap it around your camera and the lens, and also the flash if you have a flash. So there's a detailed video on this, but you can cover it with anything like gloves. If you don't want to cover it with gloves, you can cover it with a cling foil as well, um, provided you can sterilize the cling foil, which I think you can't.
Right.
So use something that you can sterilize. So surgical gloves are pre-sterile, so I prefer to use that, and it comes in various sizes. Like
Yeah.
you have to get the biggest size possible, like size 9 or something. That's gonna work.
Hmm. Okay. Sir, so what are the challenges any beginner dentist face while dental pediatric photography?
So basically, there are two types of dental photography procedures. One is a protocol based, and one is not a protocol based. Protocol based dental photography is the one in which you follow specific numbers of pictures before you start a case, during the case, and after the case. For example, if you're doing an anti-aesthetic case, you have to take 12 pictures. That's fine. Okay, that's full and fine. You have to take those
Right.
12 pictures. Otherwise, it's not going to get published. So the main difference between pediatric dental photography and adult dental photography is this: that in pediatrics we do not follow any protocol. We just take a picture of the particular um, tooth or arch that we are going to be treating, and there's no particular protocol. Like for example, you don't have to take. It's not important for you to take extraoral pictures, but if it's affecting your treatment, you should ideally. But there is no protocol because it's more about behavior management. So how you manage
Yeah.
your patient or the child is more important than the actual protocol itself, but it's more related to what you are doing for the patient. So if I'm doing a cavity preparation in 5-4 or 5-3, I'll probably just take a picture of that and not the entire protocol pictures, like 12 pictures, just that particular quadrant. And
Okay.
use smaller cheek retractors, which we have. Use smaller mirrors, which we have. You have to use mirrors which are contra-angled and rigid. So always keep different sizes of cheek retractors, different types of cheek retractors, and maybe you'll need assistance from your chairside assistant as well. Uh, I would not say that it's difficult. Yeah, you'll have to try it once or twice. You have to be really thorough with your settings. So I would suggest that you go ahead with recording adult patients first, because that's going to be easier. And then when you master that, you can also take pictures of children, because you have to be very quick with taking pictures. So
Yeah.
basically, you get around 3 seconds to take a picture. That's what I teach in my courses to my students, to the delegates
Okay.
who decide to attend my course, how to take a picture in less than 3 seconds. So that's how you have to do it. You have to be really fast at it, but it's
Okay.
not difficult
Uh,
at all.
okay. So what are the basic camera settings before we proceed with that? You
Um,
recommend?
so there are a lot of settings. So first of all, you have to understand that you have to use the camera in the manual mode. Only then you will get consistency. And when you put your camera on the manual mode, the biggest problem is that you have to control all the settings in the camera, but you don't have to worry about it. You have to worry about four most important settings. That is the ISO, or International Standards Organization, which controls the sensitivity of the sensor. Then there is shutter speed, means how much time you are allowing the light to go inside your camera. And there's one more
Right.
called as aperture of the f number, which is a hole inside your lens. You can control the diameter of the lens.
Yeah.
And the last is the image quality. That's are you going to shoot on JPEG file format, or are you going to be shooting on RAW file format? So these are the only four primary settings that you need to understand. And if you want to know more about it, then there's a video on my YouTube channel again for this. But
Yeah.
in a nutshell, ISO should be least, that's minimum. Shutter should be fast, really fast, like 1/200th of a second. The fastest that you can go when you have to use flash. And your f number should be on the higher side, like around f22, 25, so that you get sharp pictures. And the image quality has to be on RAW always, because if you make a mistake on all other settings, RAW is going to be a savior. So if you shoot on RAW, you have a greater
Okay.
flexibility when it comes to editing your pictures, even after you've made a mistake uh, during post processing. So never shoot on JPEG, always shoot on RAW, always shoot on low ISO, always shoot on high f number, and fast shutter speed.
Shutter speed. Okay. So your top 5 tips for tabletop photography.
Settings for tabletop photography remain the same, irrespective of whatever
Okay.
genre of photography it is. It's going to be the same. In tabletop photography, you can try creative backgrounds. For example, if you want to take a picture of the tool, uh, keep it on the mirror and take a picture. But you have to use a mirror which is front surface coated or a rigid stainless
Right.
steel mirror. Otherwise, you're going to get a ghost image, which is not going to look good. And tabletop photography basically is more about different angles of light. So typically the light falls directly from on the subject. That's going to be looking very ugly. So you would want light to come from the sides. So people who are using a phone can use window lighting, or maybe an LED or a torch kept on the side, and keep the phone LED off. And people who are using
Okay.
cameras, they can use off-camera flash in different ways. Even if you are using a ring flash, you can always detach it and keep it on the side. So tabletop photography is more creative. You can work with different backgrounds and different lighting angles. That's going to be working the best. And different light modifiers, which I recently just finished a course on online on my Facebook group. They can check it out on
Okay.
YouTube. Yeah.
Sure, sir. So what are the softwares or applications you recommend for editing our pictures?
All right. So again, this is going to be a different answer for camera users as well as mobile phone users. So if you're a mobile phone user, you can use anything like Snapseed or Pixlr. You can also use Lightroom and Photoshop on your phone. But people who are more serious about this, who are going to be using a camera, who are going to be shooting on a raw image quality, you need special softwares for this. So I would be suggesting Digital Photo Professional for Canon users, and Nikon. Is it Nikon View NX2? There's another software for Nikon. I forgot the name, but I have these tutorials on my YouTube again. So for
Yeah.
Canon, it's Digital Photo Professional, and for Nikon, it's Nikon View NX2. And there's one more. Just Google it. They are free softwares, and you can download it, and you can edit your raw files in them. So they are really good. Apart from that, if you are interested in buying, then you can go for Creative Cloud, Adobe Creative Cloud, in which you get Photoshop, Lightroom, Bridge, and Adobe Camera Raw as a package. That's a paid thing. That's a subscription-based thing.
Okay, okay. Sir, what is the format of the images we use to export the images, the
Raw
dental
file.
photography?
It's called as a raw
Okay,
file.
raw file.
Yeah. So if you're asking for a file extension, in Canon it's called .cr2 or .cr3. In Nikon it'll be called
Okay.
.nef. Sony and others, you can just Google. You'll be able to get the name.
Okay,
But we
okay.
don't shoot on JPEG. I mean, we do. So I shoot on something called as RAW plus JPEG. So my camera shoots on RAW plus JPEG. So although on the camera I see only one picture, when I transfer the pictures, there are two images of the same number. One is a
Okay.
RAW file, one is a JPEG file. That's the most suggested setting for people who are a little serious about digital photography. you should basically
Right.
learn photography actually. If you are in first year
Oh.
BDS, you are already late. I'm
Oh
talking about
God.
first year
Okay.
BDS. I'm not talking about first year
BDS.
PG. Okay. So
Right.
you need to start learning about dental photography from the first year, the first day of dentistry in your college.
Right. Sir, what are the courses available? Are there any in India and abroad, and can we do it online?
Yeah, there are a lot of courses. If you are talking about private courses, a lot of people do it. I also do it. It's by the name of Grayscale, and there are a lot of other courses abroad as well. But the longest course and a course, if you want a course that's recognized by a university, there's something called as the Integrated Dental Photography course that happens at Manipal.
Okay.
Manipal College of Dental Sciences in Manipal. So Manipal has two
Right.
campuses, if you know. One is at Bangalore and one is
Yeah.
at Manipal. So the Manipal one hosts this course called as the Integrated Dental Photography course. You can just Google that and you'll be able to get the details of it.
It's for 3 months, I guess.
Yeah, it's for 3 months. That's 90 days, but there are a lot of home assignments as well.
Okay. Okay.
And it's like a
Sir,
continuous process. You keep on learning even after that. There is a lot of support
yeah.
that's provided after the course.
Sir, so are there any subdivisions to dental photography? Like, can we choose more specifics when we get the basics of it?
Uh, so if you're asking me, yes, you can diversify into whatever you like. So dental photography is not only about taking pictures intraorally and extraorally, it is also about videos. It has a lot
Yeah.
of applications. So if you want to earn a passive source of income, you can excel in videos and help the people who want to. So you can help the speakers who are looking for someone um, who can take videos for them, who can take pictures for them. Apart from that, you can also choose taking pictures of tabletop or products, and you can also choose glamour as a more niche field of dental photography. There are a lot of things that you can do, but obviously you need to learn the basics first. That's most important. Yeah, but you can
Right.
diversify into whatever you like. That's not a problem.
And sir, online courses also, like, do you recommend them?
So there's one free online course by Future Learn. Uh, it's a very basic one. Very frankly, I'm not really impressed by it. And online, yes, if there are good courses, you should go ahead and do, but do a good amount of research. In fact, I'm going to be coming up with one soon.
Okay.
But I've not really attended many other than the Future Learn one, and I'm not really impressed with that. But yeah, I've done throughout the lockdown. I've done close to a lot of lectures on dental photography with over 40 hours of content, which is already there on YouTube. If you
Yeah.
want to just save money, just go to YouTube and search for dental photography school. I think that should be more than enough for you to learn and start dental photography on your own. You don't need to join any course. Just those lectures are more than enough. In fact, I've taught in those lectures much more better because I had a lot of time during the lockdown. So I could
Right.
teach more thoroughly and engage the audience.
So one of the major challenges we face is encounter is the right color of the picture. So how to get the color accuracy?
Color accuracy depends upon two settings in a camera. Again, if you're on the manual mode, that depends upon a setting called as the white balance and the picture style. So the usable white balances are white balance of daylight or also called as direct sunlight. So in Canon it's called daylight and Nikon it's called direct sunlight. And then and the other setting is called picture style. Picture style also, in other words, basically you're telling the camera, does it need to add any color to boost your images? So you are telling the camera, no, don't add any color on your own. So just be neutral. So the picture style that I recommend is neutral. That is, you are telling the camera not to add or boost colors on its own. Which is
Yeah.
typically done with mobile phones. So mobile phones have a tendency to boost colors. That's why you tend to like pictures of Samsung mobile phones because they are more saturated colors. Frankly speaking, they are not the real colors. That's one of the reasons why we do not sell mobile phones for digital photography because it's very poor in recording color. It's not really good with color reproduction. So, but if
Okay.
you're using a camera, white balance and picture style have to be kept correctly. But if you're using a raw image quality, you don't have to worry about it because you can change that even in post processing.
Right. And so, what about lenses? If we want to choose the right one, so what should we look for?
So you don't have a lot of choice when it comes to lenses. If you're a Canon user, it uses a 100 mm macro, and if it's a Nikon user, it's just 85 mm macro or 105 mm macro. These are the only lenses that we choose from. And if you are asking me if you can use a third-party lens, I would strongly disagree. I would not suggest that you
Okay.
buy a different company lens like Tamron, Tokina, or Sigma. Just stick to the lens of the company of which you have the camera off. That's that's
Right.
that's our lenses.
Okay. So my questions are, I think, over. But if we have anything from the audience, we can go ahead, guys. If you have anything to ask. Otherwise, I have seen Sir's YouTube channel. Most of the videos are available there in detail.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I answered everything really quickly,
Yeah.
but I'm sure I answered to the point.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Exactly what we needed.
I can see Anshul, who's there and who's asking a question. Tamron macro third-party lens works perfectly fine, much lighter than Nikon. I would probably disagree with that because there's something called as internally focusing lens and externally focusing lens. So Tamron basically makes two types of lenses again in macro category. One is with image stabilization and one is without image stabilization. So we do not recommend image stabilization lenses because they are very heavy, and the one without image stabilization is the one which is externally focusing. So what do you mean by an externally focusing lens is when you try to focus it, it goes outside and comes inside. So you must have seen lenses which go outside and come
Yeah.
inside. I would strongly recommend the followers not to buy those lenses because just imagine if you have a ring flash or a twin flash attached in front of the lens, even that's going to be moving along with it. And one day that
Right.
fitting is going to get loose and the wires are going to get loose. And I've also seen some of my students who don't realize that they've almost touched the patient because the lens keeps on moving. But obviously, that's because they've just started off. Uh,
Yeah.
but I strongly recommend people not to go for a third party lens. Another reason why you should not be buying a third party lens is there are a lot of features that intercommunicate between the lens and the camera. For example, there's something called as auto lighting optimization or stuff like that, peripheral illumination correction. So these features are available only if you use the lens of the same company, um, which I strongly recommend you to use. All right, so just don't go for cheap
Okay.
lenses like Tamron or Tokina, and stick to the company's lens. That would be some of the best things. It hardly matters. It's a difference of 10,000 rupees maximum, or maybe 15,000. But at least you're investing on something on a long term. Lens is not something that you could keep on buying every day. So just buy whatever is the best and stick to that. Another reasons would
Right.
be there are a lot many reasons that Anshul needs to know of. So if you buy a Tamron lens and if you want to use a ring flash, Tamron lens outer diameter of the lens, that's the front diameter of the lens, is 55 mm. So 55 mm adapter is typically not given by ring flash company makers. So you'll have to additionally buy something else called as the 55 to 58 mm adapter. So first you have the lens, then you have the adapter, and then you have the ring flash. So you're just adding to the headache by adding something in between. That's so rather than that, just go ahead and buy the best companies because you might not realize what you're getting into when you use Tamron. So if you already made that bad choice, I can't help you. But if you've not yet bought the right lens, if you've not yet bought a lens, it's a good time to go for the best lens, not substandard lens, because there are a lot of reasons. Just do check it out on my YouTube, but these are a couple of most important reasons.
So
So I
you
can
will be
see.
conducting
Sorry.
courses in Delhi?
Yeah, I do Delhi course every year at Green Park Dental.
Yeah. Okay. Anshul says he has both Nikon and Tokina.
It depends. Having Nikon and Tokina, it does not matter. You should have a macro lens of Nikon.
Okay. So
If you have, then
any
that's good.
of
It's good. I have all of the lenses, but I use Tamron as well. But I don't like to use it because of the make is very plasticky. I don't really like it. I hate externally focusing lenses. So Nikon and Canon are the best.
sir, any takeaway message for our audience before you go? Any last words?
Uh, just the takeaway is be a little bit more serious about dental photography and documentation, because you're going to be making your own niche. When you show the pictures on your social media is when people realize that you are capable of doing great work. And also when you share it with your patients, it's going to create a great rapport between your patient and yourself. So it's very important. Of course, you can think about publications and other things. It's going to be immortal. You have to publish. So if you have to publish, you have to use great equipment. So start pursuing dental photography as soon as you can in your career. That's the best advice that you
Okay.
get from me.
So there is one question. How about a third party twin flash
You
with
can buy a
Canon,
third
sir?
party twin flash. Again, is asking me that. So don't buy a Yongnuo one. You can go. There's a company called as Miike. You can buy the Miike one. It's wireless. It's great, but Yongnuo one I'll not suggest. All right. So
Okay, okay.
details of
All
the
right.
online course,
Thank you so much, sir.
Saraswati. You can just right now. I'm not yet out with my online course. You can just go to my YouTube channel and check out all the videos which are available for free. Just go to YouTube, Dental Photography School, and bam, that's all. That's where you need to go.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay,
that's it.
all right. Yeah. Thank you so
Great.
much,
So
sir.
if people want to
Further.
know more about dental photography or general photography, if they want to share some stuff with me, they can just email it to me on dentalphotographyschool@gmail.com. So that's dentalphotographyschool@gmail.com, and that's all about whatever I had to share. Basically, you also have to understand that when I see pictures or when you see pictures, it's difficult to judge if it's been taken from a good lens or a good camera or not. That's not what dental photography is about. Dental photography is about making things easier for yourself and also trying to be more protective of the equipment. Like you have to carry forward that equipment for quite a lot of years. So just be thoughtful about that as well. All right,
Okay.
guys. I'm going to be seeing you. Thank you, Jasmine, for inviting me over.
Thank you so much,
It was
sir.
a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
and I'll be seeing you later.
Sure, sir. Bye bye.
Bye bye.